News Talk 94.5 WPTI, 96.7 FM WTOB. You're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. This morning in the studio, you have Garrett, Ray, and Brice Payne, and we are talking about what makes our financial planning process unique. Good morning, Brice. How you doing?
Good morning, Garrett. I am fine. Happy post-Thanksgiving. How did your holiday turn out?
It was great. We had the whole mother side of the family over, and then my kids were there as well, and my brother flew in from Colorado with his wife and new baby, so got to meet my niece for the first time. It was great. So
Garrett's officially an uncle.
And yeah, she's 4 months and strong. She's doing great. So it was a good time.
I know your mom must have just been thrilled to have the family.
Oh yeah,
they're all in one gathering. You and your brother didn't pick on each other too much, I hope.
No, very, very relaxed holiday actually this year. So
very good, very good. Well, let's go ahead and do our Wealth Guardian service salute here, Garrett. Go ahead and just tip the hat there.
Absolutely. So, we just want to take time, as we always do at the start of the program, to recognize our men and women in uniform, our community first responders. Thank you for all that it is that you do, making our lives a little easier and a little safer. And thank you to the families who support those wonderful people.
And especially at this time of year, we know this is the toughest time of the year to be away from your family. So we know you're not doing it necessarily on your own volition, but we do thank you for the sacrifices that you make out there. All right, Garrett, now as we want to do here at the beginning of the show, before we get into the meat and potatoes of things, we want to do that quick little segment on better get to know your Wealth Guardian's financial planner.
Yep. And
the question we're going to ask ourselves this morning is, how does Garrett like to spend his alone time?
So alone time, it's either kind of one of two ways. It's either activity while I'm alone, like, some sort of an exercise, or it's kind of, I guess, mental alone time. So I like to read, no surprise. I read a lot of investing books, that sort of thing. I also read some historical fiction. I like that as well. That's a pretty good genre. When it comes to activity, some of you guys know out there, my favorite sport is rowing. So I have an indoor rowing machine. I rowed on the water a lot when I was in my 20s. I still keep the sport up, not so much on the water these days, but still doing kind of the workouts and that sort of thing, and the rowing and some occasional weightlifting as well.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
Very good. Well,
how about yourself?
Well, I am a self-described audiophile, so I take every opportunity I can to listen to music. Interestingly enough, I do like to read about history, but I read nonfiction.
Okay. Well, yeah, sure.
Your fiction history. So I've got a plethora of books in my library on that, which I just grab something at random and read, a chapter on Greek or whatever history might be. I always find those very interesting, how we always fail to learn from our mistakes when it comes to building societies.
Very true.
But listening to music is my number one way of spending my downtime. And I only get to do that for the most part when Belle is away, because she is not like Led Zeppelin and other bands playing in the house. So
imagine
that's only when the speakers only get turned on when she is gone. So that's my.
There you go.
All right. Well, very good. And thank you everybody out there for joining us. Curious how you like to spend your alone time, especially around the holidays. But that's for another time, another place. What we're going to do here is talk about what makes our financial planning process at the Wealth Guardians unique. So every firm is going to have distinct principles that guide its approach to financial planning. And in this episode, we're going to take you behind the scenes to explore the core values and unique processes that set the Wealth Guardians apart. We'll talk through how we get to know our clients on a deeper level, create personalized financial strategies, and how our approach redefines what it means to have a successful financial planning experience. So I thought, Garrett, that the best thing that we could do with this particular subject is start by just going over our mission statement.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we do here at the Wealth Guardians really well, and it's interesting when we first are approached by people or someone talks to us, is they want to know, well, how do you guys do business? What's your approach? We take a very educational approach to the way that we do financial planning, so much so that when we tell people that our process involves at least 4 meetings, some are taken aback. They're like, oh, can't this be accomplished in 1, maybe 2 meetings? It could, certainly, if you just went through the transactional piece of it. But because we take a slow, methodical approach to educating folks around their current situation, sometimes having the dialogue of just understanding where one is in life with regards to finances kind of opens up some additional conversations that can be key bits of information for planners like you and me, Brice. So we purposely take things a little bit slower than maybe other firms do. And we do that all around an educational centerpiece that basically ties our firm together.
Yeah. And, once we explain it to people who are sitting down with us going through the planning process, why we do it that way, we don't generally get too much pushback from that saying, well, no, I'd still really like to get this done in 1 or 2 meetings.
Yep.
I mean, they understand it just as well as we do, if not better, that this is the money that they've worked for their last 45 years or so.
Exactly.
Breaking their back, making and saving and earning. So they understand why it's not necessarily a good idea to rush through the process and to take our time and make sure that we're doing everything right. So that's I agree completely that it is not transactional as some advisor firms out there might try to be. So let's go ahead. We put this up on the wall in 2024. We've had it for a while, but this is our vision, values, and mission statement. So let's just read over this.
Sure.
And if you were to come into the Wealth Guardians, you would see this in our offices. In the lobby where you wait before a meeting, you would see this on the wall. You'd have your opportunity to read this and think about it. This was not created overnight. This is something that Doug and Sherry and all of us have taken some time to create this. So the vision, values, and mission. Our vision is to be the trusted financial partner of choice in lifestyle and retirement planning. Obviously, Garrett, the word for me that sticks out there is partner.
Absolutely. Yep. And, and that it's all stages of life, from that first onboarding process. Unfortunately, we've seen some clients pass now, and now we're talking to their children and their family, perhaps a brother and a sister. And it really is a partnership through that retirement phase of life, all the way even into other generations and other family members.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so that's our vision. Let's talk about our values. So we emphasize financial education in all of our interactions. We plan holistically versus acting transactionally. We are relationship driven and interact with our clients as extended family. We strive to demonstrate a high level of competence and excellence every day. So I've read that once through. That's our values. Mm-hmm. Let me read that again. We're going to stop on some keywords here. We emphasize financial education in all of our interactions. I'm going to stop on the word education there.
Yep.
As we've already used that word here in this little conversation. A financial planner, or I don't want to limit it to just people on our field. You could have a mechanic or a doctor or a lawyer. If they want you as a client, there is an approach out there in almost any profession where you're going to try to impress the person that you want as a client. You'll throw out your terminology. You might even tell some tall tales or whatnot. And you want to impress the person like, wow, this guy really knows what he's doing. I'm going to let him do whatever he does for me because he clearly knows more than me.
Sure.
Okay, that's one approach, and it works for a lot of people. But that's not education.
Right.
That is, what would you call that?
Speaking from like a position of authority.
Yeah, authority, yeah, or experience, yeah.
Yep.
So we don't take that approach. And I've even said as much to clients, like, look, I know how sometimes if you've had other financial planners or you've out there interviewed other financial advisors in the past, this might be a little different than you've experienced with them, and here's why.
Yep.
Our approach is, and this particularly comes from me because I have a background in education, our approach is, I want to see you wanting to join the Wealth Guardians because you have come to understand what it is I understand about what retirement can look like for you and why. I don't want you to walk away and say, well, we better hire these guys because they really impressed me with all of their terminology. I didn't understand anything they said, but they clearly know a lot. So that's why I want to join the Wealth Guardians and have them manage my financial planning. That's not who we are. I try to, my goal, I guess, on a personal level would be at the end of the 4-meeting process, I would want somebody to be able to walk out of there, whether they decide to become a Wealth Guardian client or not, is to understand to a large degree what it is that needs to be understood for successful financial planning.
Sure.
Now, they're not going to be, RICP like we are here, but they're at least going to understand, I know why they recommended what they did, what difference it makes in my retirement, and how.
Brice, I think that's beautifully said. And, a phrase that I use with folks a lot is that, you're still the captain of the ship. It is our role to plot out 2 or 3 courses that you can take. And then once you've had time to fully understand, the ramifications of those 2 or 3 courses, then you tell us which course to chart and go down.
That's exactly right.
But in so doing that, you're educating not only yourself as an advisor more about that family situation, but the family has time to digest and comprehend the different decision points ahead of them. And I think it's key in the relationship.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray. In the studio this morning is Garrett Ray and Brice Payne, resting up from the last weekend's holiday. And we are talking this week about what makes our financial planning process at the Wealth Guardians unique from those you might encounter at other financial planning firms. So we've just gone over our vision and our value statement. Now let's talk about our mission statement. So here's our mission. Our mission is to execute financial strategies that safeguard retirement savings and give our clients the peace of mind to enjoy the life they've created. Thoughts on that, Garrett?
Yeah, most people come to us when they say they want to retire and they say, we don't really want to live lavishly in retirement. We just kind of want to maintain the standard of living that we've come to enjoy. We've worked really hard for it. And so if that is the goal for most folks, then, that ties in perfectly, to understand everything there is to know about that family as far as their financial needs, how things are going to change as they, retire the job, but they want to keep that paycheck, where are those sources of income going to come from, and how can they learn to transition from a working lifestyle into a different phase of life, but still have that peace of mind that there's a plan in place for this next phase of life. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I would say the key word there for me in our mission statement is the word safeguard.
Yeah.
Our mission is to execute financial strategies, safeguard. And I know we've got to go to a break here, but I think a lot of people, as they are investing and saving for retirement over the course of 40 years, they've come to ask themselves the question, how much risk can I afford to take? Mm-hmm. And when you leave the wealth building stage of life and enter the wealth distribution stage of life, I really encourage people to think about a second question to ask instead of that first question. How much risk do I have to take?
Yep.
If you've already saved up enough money to successfully live out your retirement the way you want to, why take more risk than you have to try to?
Yeah, why are you still adding on risk?
Why? Right, yeah. Exactly. So that's that kind of goes hand in hand with me and our mission is to execute financial strategies and safeguard retirement. Okay, well, we've got to get to a break here, and I want to encourage anybody, since we've talked about what our vision, values, and mission is, if you want to sit down with the Wealth Guardians and go through our planning process and see if we might be a right fit for you in helping you to plan for retirement, here's all you got to do. You got to pick up the phone and call 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. We'd love to hear from you. Lynn will schedule you for an in-office appointment in our offices in Clemens. No cost, no obligation. All right, let's go ahead and get to this trivia question, Garrett, before the break. I've decided that we're going to, this is going to start off our 4-week series of holiday trivia.
Okay.
Now, I got this straight from like a Good Housekeeping type of website, so that I apologize about the wording in this, but this is not coming from me.
Okay.
The Christmas log, or the Yule log, also known in the native language as the pooping log,
interesting,
is a beloved tradition in which children feed and clothe a log during Christmas time in hopes that it will eventually excrete presents.
Huh.
In which country did this one-of-a-kind ritual originate? Was it Brazil, Italy, Spain, or Finland?
Okay.
All right. Well, stick with us, and we will get to the answer on the other side of this break. Thank you for joining us. This is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. 96.7 FM WTOB. Welcome back to the Wealth Guardian Show, where we help you retire the job and keep that paycheck. I'm Brice Payne in the Wealth Guardian studio this morning, along with Garrett Ray. And in this segment, the second segment, we're going to continue our discussion on what makes our financial planning process at the Wealth Guardians unique from some other planning processes you might go through with others in the triad areas. Now, before we answer that trivia question that we left Garrett hanging with at the end of this first segment, I want to ask you this. Are you planning to retire? Okay, most of you would have said yes to that if you haven't already retired. Have you met with a retirement income certified professional who is also a fiduciary? If you have not, I want to invite you to take us up on a complimentary review of your current situation. So as certified retirement planning specialists, we're going to put together a customized written plan with strategies for portfolio allocation, income distribution, Social Security filing, and tax efficiency, with the additional benefit of often reducing both the risk and the fees of your current plan. So if you put aside at least $400,000 for retirement, you want to take us up on this no cost, no obligation review, here's all you got to do. Pick up the phone and give us a call, 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409, or go with thewealthguardians.com. That's thewealthguardians.com to learn more. I'll let us show you in black and white how you retire the job and keep the paycheck. All right, let's go ahead and get back to this this Christmas trivia question. 1 out of 4 that we're going to do over the next couple of weeks, Garrett.
Okay.
The Christmas log, also known as the Yule log, and is known in the native language as the pooping log, is a beloved tradition in which children feed and clothe a log during Christmas time in hopes that it will eventually excrete presents. In which country did this one-of-a-kind ritual originate? Was it, Garrett, Brazil, Italy, Spain, or Finland?
Before I answer this question, Brice, I have to give you credit to coming up with the most off-the-wall trivia question, yet still making it seasonal.
That was not my goal. That was not my goal.
I'm going to say that the answer is, I think it was D, Finland.
Oh, no. I didn't have my buzzer ready. Yeah, that was my guess, too.
Okay.
It was Finland. But it's actually not. It's Spain.
In Spain. Okay.
The Tio de Nadal, or the Cagatillo, is a tradition native to Catalonia, an autonomous region in Spain. And here's a bonus fact. To get the log to give up the goods, children typically sing songs and or beat it with sticks.
Oh, okay.
So I love that approach. We're going to first sing to the log.
And if
it doesn't put out gifts to us,
then we choose violence.
We're going to beat it.
Yeah. All right. Very good.
Yeah, not sure.
Incredible tradition.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder how often that was successful for the kids. All of a sudden, there were presents coming out of the log. Did that really work for them?
I love it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on now back to our topic. What makes our financial planning process unique? We talked in our first segment about the values and the mission statement that we have here at the Wealth Guardians. Let's talk now about, Garrett, let's go down to the next one, customized plans and client education. So the question is, how do you help clients build a financial plan and make it informed decisions along the way? So for me, it's an objective here, because we handle all things money. A lot of people will tend to conflate a financial planner with an investment advisor.
Exactly.
So that's what you do. You manage my portfolio, my accounts, and that's what you do. Well, granted, that is one thing that a financial planner does, yes, but that is just one out of probably about 12 different areas or so that a holistic financial planner is going to get into. And I like to focus on the fact that for us, in that one little aspect of portfolio allocation and portfolio management, it is not just about growth.
Yep.
Granted, that's important, right? But it is also, for us here at the Wealth Guardians, a lot about tax mitigation. I would say it's equally
absolutely
about tax mitigation. And that is something that there's certainly, I'm not going to throw investment advisors under the bus. There's certainly a lot of investment advisors, no doubt, many that know more than I do in the field, but that is their focus, is growth. And they don't have a lot of room to talk when it comes to tax mitigation.
Sure.
That is what sets us apart from a typical investment advisor is, yeah, we want your accounts to grow, certainly just as much as you do, but not at the detriment of, something said going off the rails with your retirement if the market has a correction period, and we know that they always do. But what's the second step of that? Okay, great. So your account is growing. How do we keep as much of that growth for ourselves?
Exactly.
That is a fundamental part. The first one doesn't do you a lot of good if you don't ask the second question, period.
Exactly. Yeah. It's if you're focused on just that gain on paper, but you haven't put any thought into, okay, how are we systematically in an intelligent way going to start taking money out of that account in a tax efficient way?
Distributions.
Then, and how much is appropriate, how much is, getting us into an unpalatable tax situation, I guess I'll say. You have to know the goals of the family. You have to know what their income needs are, and understanding their tax brackets. I think we do a good job here in these four walls of understanding the family. We may not be CPAs, but we probably know their tax situation better than they do in most cases.
Yes, I would say that's completely true. So it's a twofold approach for us. and it all goes back to this client education. Again, we said this in the first segment, and I'm going to harp on it again. I want you to walk out of the meeting process when we make a recommendation, whether it's around portfolio allocation or tax mitigation. And we are suggesting, not telling you that you have to, but we're suggesting that your nest egg would be larger 15 years down the road in retirement. If you did A, B, and C, take these steps, I want you to understand what those steps are, why we're recommending it, and the difference it could make in your retirement. I don't want you to do a $50,000 IRA to Roth conversion next year simply because I told you to.
Exactly.
I want you to understand it. And it's not that hard. If you have a good a financial planner, or again, anybody in any field, if they want you to be educated, that's not that hard to do.
Exactly.
You just have to have patience with the person that you're speaking to and understand what level of dialogue they can come to the conversation.
And I think the key thing, Brice, is to understand, what is the goal of that family? Some people want to downsize in retirement. Some people want to relocate in retirement. Some people have a goal that they want to really pass down what they've earned to the next generation.
The legacy.
Some people don't care about that at all.
Right.
So if your plan is to, hey, I'm not passing down a whole lot to my kids, I did a good job raising them. We want to know how we can spend our money successfully, but not get wild with the taxes. Okay, those are two different families you just outlined.
Yes.
The person who wants to buy the second home versus the person who wants to downsize because they feel like an empty nester. There are so many different scenarios that get thrown at us, and every unique situation requires a unique plan. And that's our job to, one, understand your goal, two, plot a couple courses on how you can get there, and then three, educate that client around, okay, if I choose course A or B, this is my potential tax implication. Am I okay with that? Or do I need to rethink? And so we kind of go through this stepwise process, and we do it in a methodical manner so that people have time to digest everything and then say, okay, yes, I feel confident in doing this. And that ties back to the first segment where we said, how are we making people sleep better at night in retirement? By going through these steps and helping people over a reasonable amount of time understand their decision tree. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, that was all very well said, Garrett. Thank you. I think we got time for one more quick one here. We're going to go back up one here, Garrett. Your unique approach. So what sets the early stages of our planning process apart? And I would think that when I think about the very first questions, when I sit down with somebody who's come to us and they want to see if they want to hire the wealth guardians as their financial planners, the very first questions I'm asking are all open-ended questions.
Absolutely.
And here's why. You can't create a roadmap without knowing where it is you want to end up in the first place.
Yep.
And so I want you to describe to me what is it we're trying to accomplish in the end here.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just saying, I'm going to help you retire. Well, I don't know where we're going on that roadmap. I don't know what retirement means to you, because it's certainly going to mean something different in some way from the person I sat down with earlier this morning or yesterday.
Yep.
So it's all around open-ended questions. And I know that throws some people off. They were thinking, don't you want to see my tax returns?
Yep.
You want to see my statements? Well, yeah, we do. And we're going to get to that. But that doesn't paint a picture for me. And I want you to help me paint this picture. What is it I'm trying to help you accomplish?
Yes, absolutely. It's happened countless times where someone comes in, they have a stack of paperwork, which we appreciate.
Yeah.
They've got their tax returns, they've got their statements. They say, okay, can I retire, Garrett? Well, let's talk about what retirement looks like for you. Well, I haven't really thought too much about it. Okay, let's spend a lot more time over here than on the paper statements, at least initially.
Yeah.
Because until you've got a good idea, at least mentally, it could just be a vision of what retirement looks like, then the numbers stuff doesn't mean quite as much without you having a goal to get to. Once you outline the goal and the course heading, we can do the numbers for you.
Yes.
But we got to start with A before B.
Yes.
And in my mind, the paper stuff and the number stuff is very much a B thing.
Yes. We
have to have the overall cardinal direction of where we're going. That's the A.
That's very well said. Couldn't have said it better. And that's coming from somebody who has navigated submarines. I know exactly what you know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to that. All right. Well, I'm going to give out, if everything that Garrett and I has described in the first and second segment is ringing true to you, and you think you want to sit down with the Wealth Guardians for a no cost, no obligation review of your retirement plan, here's all you got to do. Pick up the phone, give us a call, 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. You can also visit our website, thewealthguardians.com, and set up your no cost, no obligation retirement plan review with Garrett, Doug, and myself. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have this week. I want to thank you for joining us. We hope the rest of your weekend is everything you want it to be. This is Brice Payne, along with Garrett Ray, the show's The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB.